Harvey. Who the hell is he? He's this guy. But what is he? And what is his role in the Rusty Lake series? These are the questions I'm going to go over in this video. I'm going to go over the entire story of Harvey and then some theories about him. But first, a quick rundown of Rusty Lake. Rusty Lake, the series where furries are made, memories are little cubes, and shrimps are connected to the circle of life. I'm going to try and keep this short, but here's what you need to know. Rusty Lake is a lake that feeds off memories, so when talking about Rusty Lake, I mean the lake present in the games. The lake mostly takes memories from dead people. When it takes positive memories, they take the form of white cubes. When they are negative, they take the form of black cubes. Black cubes also often result in the creation of corrupted souls. That is mostly what you need to know. The year is 1893. Harvey has been working hard under Mr. Owl. He works as a butler, caring to the guests' every need. And in return, Mr. Owl gives him a more human form. Although he does time to time have to switch back into his more avian form, like when he was tasked with delivering a letter from a mother to her son. As he stands in the window, watching the guests arriving to the hotel, he thinks about what Mr. Owl said to him.
We will be having 5 dinners. Make sure everyone is worth dying for.
He chuckles, knowing fully what his master's intentions are. And so every night he enters a guest's room and takes care of their needs. A year passes. Harvey is summoned to Mr. Owl's room. As he enters, he looks at the capsules. He has seen them before, many times. Inside them is one of the 5 guests. Mr. Boar, Mrs. Pheasant, Mr. Rabbit, Mrs. Pigeon, Mr. Deer. But something feels odd this time around. As Mr. Owl tells him of his next task, he hears a crack, and then another. He turns around as the sound of glass breaking fills his ears. Before him stand the corrupted souls of the guests he killed. He stumbles back as they lunge at him, but Mr. Owl saves him. He feels his body shrink and he takes flight and dashes out the window. As he gets further away from the hotel, he thinks about returning. No, he knows what he must do. He sets his sight on a Wonderboom house. Years pass, and it's now the 1940s. He has been watching the Wonderboom family for quite some time now. He started it by delivering the letter he was given, but after that he just watched. A girl played in the garden. Behind him he hears footsteps. He turns around. Behind him stands Rose Wonderboom. He's never talked to her, mostly because he can't speak.
I don't want to leave her, but I might have to. Please protect her, also in the years to come.
She walks away. He turns his attention to the little girl again, such a naive and fragile thing. 1964. Another day, another bland packet of bird food. For 30 years he's been watching over the girl, now a grown woman. Shortly after she tasked him to look after her, Rose disappeared. She left a timepiece saying it would protect her in the future. Few years back, she had met a man named Robert. He worked at a bird food factory, which was a plus. Unfortunately, he had lost the timepiece at around that time, not like it would do anything. He wondered if he'll ever be able to return to the lake. He watches Laura from his cage. She has decided to cook the egg he had laid. Weird, but not too weird. As she cracked the egg open, butterflies start to appear. Intrigued, he pays more attention. With every crack, a new butterfly appears, until it fully breaks, and a black cube emerges from it. After all these years, it is finally time. 1969. He had sent a message to Mr. Owl, but hadn't received an answer. He was getting worried. Had his message not gotten through? But then Laura jumped up in excitement. She started to pace around the room. On the table, he could see what had caused her reaction. A free stay at Rusty Lake, mental health and fishing. His doubts were cleared. His message has gotten through. As they approached the lake, Harvey was filled with anticipation. He was finally back. After 35 years, he had returned. As he sat in his box, he couldn't wait. He had to get out. He looked around, looking for anything that might help him escape the box. As he began to climb out of the box, the top was slammed open. Above him stood a corrupted soul, As it reached down to grab him, he quickly reached for some fireflies and threw it at the corrupted soul. It screeched and disappeared. Harvey jumped out of the box. He is beside the lake. The lake. His home. He snaps out of it. His task isn't done yet. He looks at the cabin next to him. Inside, Laura laid flat on the ground. He could feel it. The soul had been here. It had attacked her. This would speed things up. 1971. Harvey watched from his cage as Laura grew more and more distressed and anxious, until one day, Laura takes her own life. 1972. Harvey is flying. He's following the body of Laura. Even though he knew from the start this would happen, he feels bad. He has been with her most of her life, and to see her go, Harvey doesn't know how to feel. As he looks up, he sees the lake. Laura's body hangs upside down in the mill. Alduis is preparing to extract the memories from the lake. So this is his final goodbye. He watches as Alduis puts her head in a machine, and the white cubes pops out of it. Her memories. Everything good that happened in her life. As he is about to leave, Alduis yet again puts her head in the machine, this time producing a black cube. Her memories, everything bad that happened to her. Alduis quickly exits the room, not noticing as her body corrupts. Harvey flies in to warn Alduis, but the corrupted soul breaks free. She rampages through the mill, killing Alduis' wife. Harvey tries to fly away, but she grabs him, holding him by his neck. He feels as his throat is slowly crushed and his airways are blocked. He tries to wriggle out, but to no avail. As his vision starts to turn blurry, he hears Alduis speaking.
Please. Jag memories belong to the least love. Please send the hand.
He feels the grip disappear, and he gasps for air. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. He knew he had to do something. He looked down at the lake. Deep within, he saw the glimmers of the cubes. He knew what he had to do. He dived in. As he reached the bottom, the lake had taken the form of a metro station. It had also given him his hybrid form again. A train appeared. As the doors opened, he saw Alduis. He was the train's conductor. Harvey rode the train to its next stop, where he was stood at another station. As he looked around, he saw a sign hanging, Crib Station. He realized where he was. He was in her memories. The lake had absorbed them. He saw Rose standing with a crib. In the crib laid baby Laura. He knew he had to advance. He boarded the next train and traveled further through her life. Child Station, the moment her mother disappeared. School Street, where she was an outcast. Bird Bridge Station, where she met Robert. Sorrow Cross, where she ended her relationship with Robert. Soul Street, where her corrupted soul resides. There he saw something glimmering in a pile of rubble. The timepiece, the thing that was supposed to keep her safe. He took it and looked at the corrupted soul of Laura. He walked to her and gave her the timepiece. She looked at it, almost studying it. It opened, revealing a clock within. The clock began to move faster and faster until it broke. The soul stood up and walked to the tracks as another train approached. As they both stood in the wagon, not a single sound broke the silence. But Harvey knew that this was the end. This would be their last stop. The tunnel around them disappeared as the forest of the lake emerged. The train stopped. They exited the train.
This is where I belong. I remember now the tree looking at you.
Finally, you have found me. I belong to the lake now, my past and future self. My daughter. I know she can live another life. She can still blossom. This is how I left the other world, an old woman. But I belong to the lake now. I am enlightened, a tree among others. Help my daughter. She can still blossom. Will I ever know? Where'd she go? Where'd she go?
Finally, I can see the blossom. My mother, I know she's here for me. I can live another life without sorrow. The lake belongs to me. My dear Harvey, take the train and find your own future.
And so she disappeared into the forest. Harvey roamed the different stations, looking for a way out. He eventually found a train, but this one was different. Aldous wasn't there, but rather Mr. Crow. He could feel as the train exited the lake. His next stop was the chapel. A boat waited for him. He sat in it as it rowed towards the hotel. As he waited, he felt a sense of relief. He had done it. He had saved Laura. He had returned to Rusty Lake. The boat arrived at the hotel. The hotel doors opened. Mr. Owl stood in the doorway.
Welcome back, Harvey. I am glad you're here. We have work to do. The day of the lake is coming.
Now that we have gone over the main storyline of Harvey, I'm going to go over some things that I interpreted to fill in the gaps. It is never said or shown that Harvey was with the Wonderboom family from his escape of the hotel to him becoming Laura's pet. The only thing we know is that he delivered the letter to Frank Wonderboom. So to fill in the gap, I assume he just watched them, maybe doing some other chores along the way. It is never stated that Mr. Owl told Harvey anything regarding Laura, only that Rose asked him to look after her. But I find it unlikely that Harvey would just take it upon himself to watch over a child for their entire life, just because someone asked nicely. We don't know how Harvey felt towards Laura, but I feel it's safe to say he cared at least a little, considering he went through all the trouble of cleansing her soul. It may also be possible that Mr. Owl told Harvey to save Laura, but I find that unlikely considering Mr. Owl welcomes Harvey back at the end of Underground Blossom, hinting that they haven't been in direct contact for some time. Now for some theories. Let's start simple. What is Harvey's gender? Easy, he's a male. His name is Harvey, a male name, but Harvey also lays eggs, so she's a girl? Well, the answer is simple. It's both. When Harvey is in his hybrid form, he's a male, but when he transforms into a parrot, she's a female. Or just a male parrot that lays eggs. Harvey has a favorite song. What's all? Well, it's Eggmont. Get it? 'Cause egg and he's a parrot and haha, funny. Jokes aside, Harvey is shown to be very fond of Eggmont by Beethoven. When played, Harvey goes directly to where the music is. This indicates a fondness of classical music. Does this have a significant meaning? No, not really, but it might strengthen a future point. Why does Harvey do what he does? Well, it might be that he's just a nice bird, but I don't buy into that. His connection to Mr. Owl might be an exchange. He works as a butler for the hotel, and in return, he gets a hybrid form. But that doesn't explain why he watches over Laura for all those years. He has no previous connections to Laura or her mother Rose. His only connection to the Wonderboom family are his co-worker, Mr. Crow, or Aldous Wonderboom, and delivering a letter years ago. Unless him watching over Laura was also an order from Mr. Owl. Now, let's take a step back here a moment. Why would Mr. Owl order Harvey to watch over Laura? It's because of the power she wields over the lake. Laura was born from the rebirth of William Wonderboom and emerged from the lake. In the ending of Underground Blossom, she states, "The lake belongs to me." Rose tries to send her away from the lake in hope that she will lead a normal life, asking Harvey to keep her safe, away from the lake. But Mr. Owl doesn't want to lose his sight of her. He sends Harvey to watch over her until he determines that she is ready. Ready for what, you say? To be consumed by the lake. Mr. Owl doesn't care about Laura, but he cares about her memories, which are tainted by William's rebirth. So when her soul starts to corrupt, Harvey tells Mr. Owl, and she is invited to the lake, where her mental state gets worse, ending in her suicide. But why would Harvey spend 35 years watching over someone? Sure, Mr. Owl might have given him a more human form, but he doesn't even get to use it while he's with Laura. So why is he so loyal to Mr. Owl? Harvey isn't a bird, or at least not a naturally occurring one. Let me explain. In many of the games, a black egg appears. When broken, this egg often produces a black cube. The egg is also used by the Wonderboom brothers in Rusty Lake Roots to create the elixir of life. So how does this connect to Harvey? Well, the egg is also known as Harvey's egg. Why? Because he shits them out once in a while. But there is another source of the black egg. Alchemy. Like mentioned previously, the Wonderboom brothers used the black egg to make the elixir of life. What they also did was make the egg using alchemy. So my theory is, Harvey was born from a black egg made by alchemy, but not by the Wonderboom brothers. I think Caroline Islander is the creator of Harvey. In Rusty Lake Paradise, the game set earliest in the lore, in 1796, an achievement is unlocked by luring Harvey to a windowsill using a flower. This confirms that Harvey, or at least an identical bird, has been around much longer than the Wonderboom brothers' creation of the elixir, and even the creation of the Rusty Lake Hotel. Caroline is the earliest person we see studying the elixir, so it's a safe bet she knew a thing or two about alchemy. So what if while she was studying the elixir, she makes the black egg, but instead of using it, she lets it hatch, resulting in Harvey being born. This would mean that Harvey is around 100 years old when we play as him in Hotel. And remember his favorite song? Well, it just so happens that it was composed in 1809 to 1810, a few years after Harvey was born. Coincident? Maybe, but it still gives him a connection to the early 19th century. This would also help explain why Harvey is so loyal to Mr. Owl, the son of Caroline. He is following his creator's son, or even more, he is following his creator. This was my deep dive into Harvey from the Rusty Lake franchise. Hope you enjoyed.